Alrighty, folks, you want to get into real estate investing, but you don't have any money. What if I told you there was a way that you could raise private money? What if I told you this young man right here, who's not even 30, raised $4.2 million to buy real estate? We're going to hear from Dylan and break it down, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing well, doing well. Appreciate the intro. Um, yeah, to quick start off, there's a few different ways that you can fund deals, right? So you can use your own cash. It's not going to get you very far. You're eventually going to have opportunity costs going to bottleneck you. Most people don't have that kind of cash when they're getting started, so you have one of a couple other options, which is you can go to the bank. You can get a traditional 30-year note. That's what we all know as our mortgage, or you can go to hard money. What's great about that is it's very, very low cost to get in for a lot of people. What's not so great about that, if you go a hard money route, it's typically going to be a higher interest and a lot more headache. The place that a lot of people only think of for the big dogs, and this is where I was at for a long time, is private money, where I go to people that have money and ask them if they want to invest in my deals. And that seems like something very, very far off. And for me, it was like that for a long, long time. And raised my first little bit of money from someone when I was 23. So it's definitely
Wow.
possible. And I think it gives you a lot more leverage as well, too, with your more deals.
Yeah, I just love that cycle because that's how it broke down for Olivia and I as well, right? We went the bank route first, then the GFC happened. Then we were seeing deals, 60, 70% off, but there were no banks. I remember going to a bank and them laughing at me. Oh, we don't lend to real estate investors. You're the problem. And I'm like, wow. Wow. Okay. So then we went hard money, right? We were paying 12% interest with 2 points. And I think we did 65% of purchase. So, we had to come in with 35. And, we did that for a while. I think we did 6, 7, maybe 8 of those. And then because I was documenting my journey, and this is the unlock. This is the unlock. We documented our journey, not only the purchase, but the rehab and the rent. This was all Burr before Burr was a thing. And I did it on a website called wealthbuildingpro.com. It doesn't exist anymore, but I guess there's images of it out there. People find time and again. And I just wrote about it. Wealth Building Pro, called the houses cute names. And soon people were coming to me going, what if I lended you money? And very quickly, instead of paying 12% interest, we paid 10. Where we were at 65%, we were now 100. So we got the entire purchase price and no points. So again, just the key is to document your story, become trustworthy, remove risk, understand barriers, talk about the secured position. Private money is a great unlock.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, in my opinion, it's people will get into real estate investing, especially if you come from like the bigger pockets school of thought, which is like, build a portfolio. Everyone seems to think that you burrow your way out of burrow your way into financial freedom. You definitely can. I just think the whole idea of passive income is something that gets a lot very misconstrued. But the people 2015 to like 2018 bigger pockets kind of seem to think that. I think it's getting out of it now. But the one real way to make passive income in real estate is through being a private money lender and learning how to become the bank. Whether you are a seller and you're upgrading yourself from landlord to bank, or you are someone that has cash and you're getting upgraded to the bank. In either case, you're learning how to become the bank in some type of fashion, and the banks make all the money with hardly any of the risk. So I'm a big fan of it. I think the thing that you were touching on that is very, very helpful is making sure that you're documenting what you're doing and you're talking about it. You're building your reputation, I think, online and in person,
Yep.
that you do what you say you're going to do. Number one. And number two is really learning. And this is the skill that I think I've developed as a young person because I like to think of myself as not very smart. So like I want to really understand in layman's terms what it is that I'm doing. And what that allowed me to do as kind of happenstance is explain that very complicated topic is a dumb dumb like me and just tell them as if like how I would understand it. And so
Yeah.
what that has allowed it cuts through all the fat. And so I think your ability to explain what you're doing in very, very simple terms, how they're exactly, protected and stuff and where the risk is in very, very simple terms. You're not sugarcoating anything is just good sales. And it's not even
Mhm.
trying to have good sales. You're just explaining it simply, which I think by and large is just a good way to kind of do business. So
Yeah, I love the fact that you talked about true passive income, because that again is an unlock that I did not understand for the first decade. It's amazing for me to see how far ahead of the game you are, and you got an amazing Instagram page where this post is really put out there. So kudos to you. But go into a seller, right? A frustrated landlord, maybe a landlord who's owned a portfolio, and I'm thinking of a landlord. I bought 14 units off of him. What was it? It was two fourplexes, a triplex, and three houses. I think that's 14 units. And he was done. He was tired. And he basically sold the entire portfolio 10% down, and he's the bank, right? He's the bank. He sold it for a little under market. I gave him no prepay. Like I wouldn't cash him out for a decade, those kinds of things. But he just wanted the income. And you're absolutely right. That you want true passive income, become the bank.
100%. And genuinely, I feel like it's the ultimate win-win in real estate. It's funny to hear you saying about how it helps your portfolio a little bit. The way I bought my first rental, I don't have a ton of doors, but the way I bought my first rental was via seller finance because
Yeah.
the seller wanted too much money that I could normally pay him. And thankfully, I had learned a little bit from Pace Morby videos and read a couple books about it and just kind of pitched it. I pitched a ton, but at that point, it was just the right person, the right exact avatar. And he wasn't making any money. And so he owed like 13 grand,
Hmm.
paid off his debt, gave him a little money in his pocket, about 17 grand. He was losing $200 a month because he didn't want to be a landlord. He inherited the
Yeah.
property.
There you go.
Now he's owes the property debt free. Well, we own the property now. We're paying him $1,000 a month. He's making 12 grand a year now when he was losing
Yep.
$2,400 a year before maintenance and property taxes. It's ultimately a lot. Now we cash flow $1,000 a month. So, anyways, all that to be said, what I've really genuinely learned, if you guys are learning or trying to learn how to raise private money, to give you a little bit of background, I raised my first $70,000 and never believing that it was possible. I made a social media post, guys. I had done one deal. I'd been in real estate for a couple of years. I was partnered up with my dad. Thankfully, I was able to borrow some reputation from him. But I made a social media post after hearing that we should start raising private money. I said, hey, we're paying all these hard money lenders money. I'd like to pay someone else the money. And someone actually reached out, a person that had done business with my dad before and never even knew that we did this kind of stuff. We raised 70 grand in July of 2023. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. 3 months later, that same person lent us 400. 3 months later, she introduced us to someone else that funded another deal for 400. And then I started getting really good at pitching it because I understood it better. The person that first lent us money funded one of the biggest flippers in the early 2010. And so she walked me through exactly like all the documents. I didn't know what I was doing, but she trusted me because we'd already built a reputation. So my why I'm bringing it up is I started in about 2 years ago, a little over now, $70,000. Since then, we raised $4.5 million. Guys, if I can do it, anybody can. You just need to understand how you're protecting the lender. You cannot say that's 100% risk free because it's not. You're still investing in real estate, but the difference is if you put your money in the stock market and the stock market crashes, you have no collateral, right? You're not investing in the deal, you're investing in me as an operator. So the first thing is first go get some experience, understand how to comp, understand how to run a rehab, understand how to manage contractors, understand how to sell a deal, learn to use your own money a little bit, because then you're going to know exactly how it feels to have to go through all that stuff by yourself, how scared you are. You're going to care a lot more about other people's money. You treat every dollar of the partner's money as if it's $2 of your own. That's a really good place to come from. And you have to realize whenever you're doing this, you're not desperate for money. You're presenting an opportunity for them to make interest on their money without any of the headaches of managing it themselves. So you understand that. You understand that they're trusting in you as the operator, not in the deal, to mitigate that risk. So you need to buy it at a deep enough discount. Okay. The way that you protect them is one of two ways. I'm going to drop what's called a promissory note. You guys can think of it as just a note that promises that I'm going to pay you back at the time I said with the interest I said I was going to pay you. That's what that outlines. Okay. That's just a good thing that we put what we said on paper. Number two is we're going to get a deed of trust. All that is collateral. I'm going to do everything in my power to pay them back. I don't have 100% certainty. I don't have a crystal ball on what the market's going to do. But because I know my word, I'm going to do everything I can to pay you back. Now, all that to be said, I've never missed a payment on a lender, but you can't control, Mr. Bank, if I go out in the street and I get hit by a bus. So the deed of trust is collateral. If some crazy catastrophic event happens and I can't pay you back, that's how you take the house back.
Yep.
So that's all you kind of need to know when it comes to raising money. Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to it, but it's a very oversimplification. That's the umbrella.
Yeah, I love all of this. It's really funny. One of the things that I said, I think I even put this in my first book, One Rental at a Time, is, we've now borrowed well over $10 million collectively. And what's really funny is I've never asked for a penny. I just document what we're doing. Before it was on a website, wealthbuildingpro.com. Now it's YouTube. And if you go back to some of my first 1,000 videos, we were just walking through properties doing flips. And at that time, I wasn't paying 10%. I was paying 6%. What I did at my second time, I borrowed $5 or $6 million is I paid 6% interest only, no points. They paid the entire purchase, and I gave them 20% of the upside. So we did 54 flips from 2018 to 21, maybe early 22, and I just gave 20% of the profit. And again, you can get really creative with this once you have a reputation and you know what you're doing.
100%. And actually, I would like to bring this up because I think this is a really, really good point, especially for some of the newer people when it comes to raising money. Hopefully, this sheds some limiting beliefs for you guys, because I know it did for me. The only reason that I know what I know is because I have good mentors in my life like Michael. I've paid for a lot of coaches in my life too. I'm a big believer in it. I've been able to pay down a lot of ignorance debt by borrowing experience from other people. But I promise you guys, it's not that I'm some gifted individual. It's just I've learned to get skills from other people. Now, if this is limiting or shedding some limiting beliefs for you guys, I want you guys to think about raising money in one of two ways. Okay. So you're going to have conversations with people eventually when you're offering opportunities for people. That's all you're doing. Okay. That also gives you a little bit of leverage when you position it that way. But there's two different ways that you can bring on money, right? Money partners. You can have them as an equity partner or as a debt partner. Okay. There's pros and cons to both. Okay. So the benefit of, say the lender, if they're an equity partner, is if you kill on the deal, so do they. Mm-hmm. That's phenomenal. They have way more upside in the deal. Okay. Now the con of it is if you go in the red and you manage a bad rehab, it goes over budget, or some market anomaly happens, your comp was off, whatever. If you go in the red, they also go in the red. If you lose money, they're losing money, right? So that's a massive con. Now, in my opinion, when you want to bring an equity partner, and this is just my opinion, this may change years down the line, but if I'm going to hold something that there's a lot, like it's a 16 unit or something like that, I would rather give up equity on something like that and bring in less money of my own, and I just become an operator. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to be doing short-term fix and flips, I only want to bring on debt. The reason is I have a lot more control of the deal. I have a lot more decision-making power. And also, if I mess up, I have a big enough margin that I buy deals at that I'm still going to bring money to the table to pay them out. So I mitigate the risk, but I'm also enhancing my own upside, but also mitigating their risk as well too on a short-term fix and flip. And I can tell you this, because you have to be prepared for it. We just had a deal go south because the tariffs happened, and we had a $30,000 swing in our ARV because the market slowed, and we just brought $14,000 to the table. Our agents got paid, our lenders got paid. We lost $14,000, but we were okay to do it because it was an investment in our relationships. And that's the difference between having a debt partner and a capital partner, because if they were our equity partner, they would have lost money too.
Yeah, I love that. Again, folks, there's lots of things they can do in this market. Again, if he's gone out and raised $4.2 million, I've done 10 plus. It doesn't start there. It started with 70K, and his existence started with 50K in mine. But it is possible. Just realize that, do the work. Dylan, if somebody wanted to follow you or watch all your great Instagram posts, where do they go?
Yeah, you can reach out to me mainly on Instagram, though I'm on all the social medias. Instagram's where I'm most active. It's going to be Billionaire321, and it's DYLL. So that's where you can reach out to me.
There you go, folks. It's right on the screen there, Billionaire321. Send him a note on Instagram. Tell him thanks for being here. Take care, buddy.